In the heart of the Jordanian desert, beneath layers of shifting sand and time, lies a city carved from stone and legend. Petra, once a bustling crossroads for trade and ideas, now rests in silence among the canyons where winds sweep through narrow passages and sunlight brushes sandstone walls with a golden touch. The world outside fades as the hush of this hidden valley begins to settle over you like a soft blanket. Here every path seems to remember footsteps from long ago, and every curve in the cliffs hides a memory. Time flows differently in Petra. The day doesn't rush, it unfurls. The rocks rise tall and still, holding secrets they are in no hurry to reveal. As night approaches, the warm colors of the cliffs deepen to rich crimson and violet, wrapping the city in peace. This is where the story begins. In a quiet canyon where a gentle journey awaits, through ancient facades, forgotten chambers, and starry skies that watched over it all. Let the hush of Petra guide you into stillness. Let the stone city tell its story. Let yourself drift. Welcome to Bedtime Travel Stories, where soothing tales and gentle narrations take you on a tranquil journey through the world's most enchanting places, right from the comfort of your bed. Unwind and travel with us as we explore the globe one story at a time, helping you relax and drift into a peaceful sleep. The day begins in stillness, as if the world itself is holding its breath. A soft amber light filters into the desert from the eastern sky, brushing the cliffs with the gentlest touch. The landscape here feels otherworldly, vast and sculpted, as if time itself were the artist. The entrance to Petra doesn't shout, it whispers. And so begins the journey, not with grandeur, but with a narrowing path known as the Sikh, a winding canyon that draws you inward, quietly, steadily, like a lullaby in stone. Walls of sandstone rise high above on either side, stretching and curving as if shaped by flowing water. Their surfaces are smooth in some places, deeply grooved in others, where wind and rain once carved stories across the ages. The air is cooler here, protected from the sun, and each footstep feels hushed on the fine dust of the trail. Shadows stretch and fold between the walls, flickering with hints of rose, gold, and lavender as the light changes above. There are no loud sounds, only the occasional soft call of a bird and the faint rustle of wind echoing through the narrow pass. You walk slowly, the canyon guiding your every step. It feels like walking through a dreamscape, the outside world forgotten behind you. Small details begin to emerge, an ancient carving here, a worn channel where water once flowed there. The Nabataeans who built this city left behind more than just grand facades. They shaped the land with purpose, creating a hidden entrance to their capital that winds like a secret waiting to be told. Every curve of the Sikh builds anticipation, each twist bringing a new play of shadow and sun. At times the walls draw so close together, you could stretch your arms and almost touch both sides. Above, a ribbon of sky peeks through, blue and pale, so far removed from the ground that it seems more like a painting than something real. Light bounces from wall to wall, illuminating the stones with a warm inner glow. The canyon feels alive, and with each step you become more attuned to its quiet rhythm. A few tufts of desert grass cling to crevices in the walls, defying the arid silence with their gentle presence. Every now and then, you pass remnants of the old Nabataean water channels, cut skillfully into the stone. These subtle traces remind you that this was once a city of engineers and visionaries, people who understood how to live in harmony with the desert. The sounds of your breath and your footsteps seem to echo just slightly, as if the canyon were acknowledging your presence. You pause occasionally to take it all in, the colors, the quiet, the mystery of this passage carved from the earth. A sudden widening of the path reveals a weathered alcove, where the outline of a carving emerges faintly in the soft stone. Perhaps a deity, or a protective figure gazing out over the canyon for centuries. These fragments of the past offer no explanations, only invitations to imagine. The silence remains constant, but it is never empty. It is filled with memory, with reverence, with a gentle encouragement to slow down, to breathe, and to listen. There are moments in the sick when the walls seem to breathe with you, expanding and softening, drawing you deeper into their embrace. You begin to notice that the wind doesn't just pass through, it sings faintly, a low melody that weaves between the rocks like a forgotten song. The sun continues its climb, casting long lines of light across the path, golden veins dancing across red and violet stone. You step lightly, as though not to disturb whatever slumbers here. And then, almost imperceptibly, the path begins to shift. There's a subtle brightness ahead, a thinning of shadow. You sense that something lies beyond this canyon's final turn, something vast, quiet, and waiting. Your pace slows even more, not out of hesitation, but from reverence. For this journey is not about arrival, it's about unfolding one careful step at a time. The sick holds you gently as you move forward. You've entered not just a city, but a feeling, one of discovery, awe, and calm. The outside world fades even further behind, replaced by the timeless hush of stone, the soft play of desert light, and the growing sense that Petra is not just a place you visit, but a place that welcomes you inward into its story. And then, like the quiet unfolding of a dream, the canyon opens. The narrow path of the sick gives way to a sliver of light, and something impossibly grand beyond. A soft glow carved into stone. There, rising with perfect stillness from the cliff face, stands Al-Kazne, the Treasury. It does not announce itself with thunder or sound, but with presence. The columns, the pediments, the delicate scrolls and statues, it is all carved directly from the rose-colored mountain. The stone glows in the morning light, shifting between warm apricot, dusty pink, and golden cream, like the color of memory. It feels as if you are the first to ever lay eyes on it. Time falls away. You don't just look at the treasury, you absorb it. Your breath slows. Your eyes scan every detail, and for a moment you simply stand there, held in place by awe. There's a hush in the clearing, as if the cliffs themselves are reverent. This is not a building assembled with tools and materials. It is a temple coaxed from the heart of the mountain, one curve and column at a time, in service of something greater than time itself. You step forward slowly, reluctant to disturb the moment. Every inch of the treasury's surface is chiseled with care, intricate Corinthian columns, statues whose expressions have softened with centuries, and an urn crowning the structure, long rumored to hide secrets. It is said that Bedouins once fired bullets at the urn, hoping to reveal hidden treasure. Even the scars on the surface speak of stories. Some call it a tomb, others a temple. Still others believe it was a royal memorial. The truth is unknowable now. But in this moment, the ambiguity only deepens the wonder. The space around the treasury is a kind of natural theater. The canyon walls frame it like curtains, drawing all focus to the structure's stage. The ground is worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, traders, explorers, wanderers, and dreamers. Camels occasionally kneel nearby, resting in the shade. Their quiet presence a reminder of the ancient caravans that once passed through this place. The air smells of dust and warm stone, and occasionally of mint tea being prepared by a guide or vendor at the edge of the clearing. Everything moves slowly here. The sun rises higher, and light begins to flow directly into the canyon. The colors of the treasury intensify. Reds become deeper, shadows crisper. The carved reliefs come alive in new ways, shifting with every change in the light. Even as more travelers arrive and soft murmurs fill the air, the space never feels noisy. There is an unspoken agreement here, to lower the voice, to slow the pace, to walk with intention. Everyone feels it. The reverence that this place evokes is not imposed. It arises naturally. You find a quiet place to sit at the edge of the square, where soft sand cushions the ground and a view of the facade remains unobstructed. The longer you sit, the more you see. Small birds flutter overhead, occasionally perching high above in the nooks of the stonework. A breeze stirs the dust, carrying with it the warmth of the day and the ancient sense of the desert. Somewhere water trickles softly through the remnants of Nabataean channels, silent engineers still guiding the desert's flow. Even stillness here has texture. As the minutes pass, your thoughts quiet. The rush of the outer world, the schedules, the worries, the noise fades entirely. In their place comes something slower and deeper, a sense of groundedness. Here among the stone giants of history, there is nothing to chase. There is only presence. The treasury does not ask for anything. It offers. It shares its peace generously, for any who pause long enough to feel it. You rise slowly, not because you are in a hurry, but because the journey continues. There is more to see, more to feel. The treasury will remain behind you, its calm presence lingering in your thoughts like a dream recalled just before sleep. It is not just a monument, it is a beginning, an opening of the heart to what lies beyond. The silence between these carved columns is the same that will guide your path forward. And as you turn to follow the next trail, the light dances once more across the facade, as if Petra herself is giving you a soft farewell, until you meet again. Leaving the quiet grandeur of the treasury behind, The path opens into a broader canyon, where the sandstone cliffs rise high and proud on either side. This is the Street of Facades, and it feels like walking through a city sculpted by giants. Rows of tombs, shrines, and monuments are carved directly into the rock face, each one different from the next. Some simple and severe, others ornate and elaborate. They line the cliffs like guardians, watching over the dusty road that winds gently through them. The cliffs glow with layered colors, soft creams and ochres, rose pinks and rusted orange, streaked and swirled like marble spun by desert winds. The scale is vast, yet the atmosphere remains deeply intimate. You pause before one of the larger facades, a tomb with multiple tiers of columns and empty niches where statues may once have stood. The doorway is dark, a cool shadow in the warm rock. You peer inside, but there is only silence and stillness. These tombs are not macabre, they are serene. They feel like places of rest, carefully placed into the mountain by hands that understood the weight of memory. You realize that each one was built not for display, but for connection, for the continuation of a bond between the living and those who came before. Further along, the carvings become simpler, less ornate and more weathered by time. You see rows of small openings, some shaped like doors, others like windows, though they lead to empty chambers. The Nabataeans created these burial spaces with reverence, each tailored to a person or family, each now hollowed out by centuries of sun, wind, and sand. Yet even in their decay, the tombs seem proud. Their facades reflect a kind of dignity, a quiet endurance. They do not crumble. They persist. You notice that the colors of the stone shift subtly with every step. When you look back, the same tombs that seemed red now carry a golden hue. When you look ahead, they deepen into soft purple. It's as if the light itself is walking with you, changing its pace to match your own. And though the rock is silent, you begin to feel as if you're being accompanied by the spirits of the place, welcoming, calm presences that watch over the passers-by. There is no sense of fear, only peace. A few desert plants cling to the cracks in the rock, low shrubs, tufts of grass, small bursts of green against the soft rust of the cliffs. Life persists here in quiet ways. You begin to understand how the Nabataeans thrived in such an environment. They were not conquerors of the land, but stewards of it. Their architecture was not imposed on the desert. It emerged from it. Every tomb, every carved surface, every water channel is part of the landscape, not separate from it. A gentle breeze picks up, carrying with it the fine scent of sun-warmed stone and a faint trace of distant time. Somewhere ahead, the faint sound of a flute echoes between the canyon walls. Perhaps a guide, perhaps a traveler, offering music to the silence. The notes are soft and slow, and they seem to match your footsteps as you move forward. You pass a larger gathering area, where worn stone steps climb the side of the canyon, offering a view back across the Street of Facades. You sit for a while, taking it in from above, the view stretching like a tapestry of time. From this height, the tombs look even more like a city. an ancient neighborhood where no one is hurried and no one is lost. Below, a few people walk quietly, their outlines small against the massive facades. You feel as though you're in the company of those who truly knew how to honor the passage of time, not with monuments of power, but with patience and balance. You close your eyes for a moment and let the warmth of the stone seep into your bones. The sun presses gently against your skin, and the air hums with a low, contented stillness. When you descend again, the shadows are longer, and the colors of the cliffs are richer. The street of facades is nearly behind you, but its impression lingers. The walk has been neither long nor strenuous, but it has been deeply moving. In these silent tombs there is no sorrow, only calm, only memory. You carry with you a sense of having been quietly welcomed into something ancient and enduring. And so you walk on deeper into Petra, where more secrets lie ahead. But for now the rhythm of your steps slows, matching the heartbeat of the city that once was and still is. The path begins to rise. Just past the street of facades, a stone staircase peels away from the canyon floor and ascends into the cliffs. It is ancient, cut by Nabataean hands over 2,000 years ago, and it winds steadily upward through layers of sandstone. There are no railings here, no signs or barriers. Only stone beneath your feet, sky above, and the sense that you are following in the footsteps of pilgrims and priests. The climb is gentle at first, a series of wide sloping steps bordered by weathered ledges and tufts of resilient greenery clinging to the rock. As you gain height, the wind becomes more present, cool and steady, brushing against your skin with increasing confidence. Below, Petra begins to unfold in quiet layers. The tombs shrink. The canyon narrows. The noise of the world becomes faint and small. Here, above the bustle of the main path, you are alone with the desert and the wind and the stone. The colors change with altitude. Pale beige gives way to copper and rust, streaked with veins of violet and cream. You stop often, not just to catch your breath, but because the view keeps insisting you pause. The climb narrows at times into switchbacks that hug the rock face tightly. Occasionally, a carved niche appears in the cliff, perhaps once home to a deity or a candle or a blessing. There are no explanations, only the suggestion of purpose and ritual. You imagine the ancient footsteps that once passed here, bearing offerings or prayers, wrapped in linen and silence. It is not hard to believe the mountain still holds their echoes. Each turn in the trail reveals another facet of the land. New ridges, new valleys, always in quiet motion under the changing light. At last, the staircase opens onto a flat rock platform, broad and exposed to the sky. This is the high place of sacrifice, a site once used for ceremonies and offerings, perched above the city like a watchful eye. Two tall obelisks stand nearby, carved from the mountain itself. They rise straight and solemn, softened at the edges by time. Nearby, an altar is cut into the rock, worn smooth by centuries of wind and ritual. Despite the name, there is no violence in the air, only reverence, as though the mountain accepted the offerings with grace and held them in trust. You sit down on the edge of the platform, legs tucked beneath you, eyes cast out across the valleys. From here, Petra stretches in every direction. You see the snaking canyons, the hidden tombs, the distant cliffs painted with sunset light. The silence is complete, but it does not feel empty. It feels full with memory, with stillness, with the gentle weight of ages. The wind hums softly through the crevices. It speaks a language you can almost understand. As you rest, the sun leans lower in the sky. Shadows lengthen, sliding slowly across the rock until they become one with the darkening cliffs. You notice birds circling far below, their movements slow and unhurried. A gentle scent rises from the sun-warmed stone, dry earth, minerals, a trace of sagebrush. You take a sip of cool water and feel the desert around you breathe in and out, a rhythm that matches your own. The high place does not demand interpretation. It simply exists with quiet strength. You do not need to understand its rituals to feel their residue. You sense the sacredness not through stories or signs, but through the calm it brings to your heart. This place was made for offering, but also for letting go. And as the sun drapes the valley in golden hues, you feel a soft release in your shoulders, your thoughts, your breath. Whatever you carried here, the mountain accepts. As twilight approaches, you rise slowly. You descend the other side of the trail now, back into Petra, back into the hush between rock walls. The light fades gently behind you, and the memory of the summit lingers like the final chord of a song. You do not speak. You do not need to. The mountain has spoken and you have listened. As you descend from the high place, the path curls back down into the heart of Petra. The descent is quiet, meditative, each step bringing you closer to the main valley floor where the ancient city once thrived. Soon the terrain levels out, and you find yourself walking along what was once the colonnaded street, the central artery of commerce, life, and connection. Though many of its columns have fallen, enough remain to mark its grandeur. A double row of stone pillars that once framed shops, workshops, and public spaces. The ground is uneven but wide, paved in sections with worn slabs that have borne the weight of thousands of years of footsteps. To your left, remnants of archways and walls hint at market stalls where goods from across Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean were traded. You imagine the soft murmur of deals being made, the colorful fabrics swaying in the breeze, the scents of frankincense, myrrh, and spice drifting through the air. Petra was never a forgotten outpost. It was a vibrant hub on the trade routes of antiquity. And though the people have vanished, their city retains the rhythm of movement, a silent pulse that seems to echo with every breeze. On the right, a wide platform rises above the street, where the ruins of the great temple command attention. Its massive stone blocks are stacked in grand proportion, and though roof and walls have fallen, the sense of scale remains intact. You approach the steps and ascend slowly, feeling the stone cool beneath your fingertips as you steady yourself. The temple's footprint is vast, its columns thick and strong, and from within you can see the whole valley stretch out around you. A few small trees have taken root in forgotten corners, and birds nest among the capitals of the columns, nature reclaiming what once was sacred. The breeze grows stronger here, channeling through open spaces and past pillars like a gentle whisper. You sit on a fallen block and rest in the quiet. The sound of wings, the occasional creak of branches, and your own slow breath are all that accompany you. There is no rush. Petra does not hurry. It allows time to stretch and settle. The sun filters through broken colonnades, casting stripes of warm gold across the floor, as though sunlight itself were paying homage to what remains. A short walk from the temple leads to the ruins of a grand nymphaeum, an ancient fountain now dry, but once fed by aqueducts and reservoirs engineered with remarkable skill. Water once poured from lions' mouths and into basins where travelers refreshed themselves. You touch the stone edge and imagine cupping water in your hands, cool against the heat of the day. Even now, when the fountain no longer flows, the place feels like a refuge. A curved fig tree grows beside the ruins, offering shade. Its leaves flutter gently, catching the last of the afternoon light. Further along the street, you reach the remains of a Byzantine church, its mosaic floor remarkably well preserved. Tiny tiles form patterns of vines and birds and baskets of fruit, their colors still rich with life. You pause at the threshold, letting your gaze wander across the imagery. The air is cooler here, the space protected and shaded. The mosaic is not loud in its beauty. It is intricate, careful, made to last. You sit for a moment and imagine the prayers once whispered here, the songs that once rose to the high arches that are now open to the sky. Stepping back into the sun, you notice the soft sound of a flute again, distant, lilting, carried on the breeze like a voice from the past. The colonnaded street stretches on ahead of you, guiding your path with a gentle clarity. Everything here has softened. The sharpness of ruin has turned into something rounded and calm. The broken edges do not wound, they simply rest. And in that stillness, there is something deeply comforting. The heart of Petra is not in its monuments or ruins alone. It is in this feeling, this softness, this presence. A city that once bustled with life now offers space for reflection, for listening, for walking slowly through what remains. You continue along the old stone path, not needing a destination. Petra is not about getting somewhere. It is about being here in this moment, held gently by time. As the sun begins its slow descent behind the jagged hills, the light softens to a golden hush, casting long shadows across the ancient city. From the end of the colonnaded street, the terrain rises once more, leading to one of Petra's most striking marvels, the royal tombs, carved directly into the towering cliffs of Jabal al-Khubtha. These monumental facades look over the heart of the city like timeless sentinels. Their size alone is enough to quiet the breath. But it is their symmetry, their balance of line and space that evokes a deeper awe. In the low light, they glow with an inner warmth, as if the rock itself remembers every story ever whispered at its base. The climb to the tombs is steady but not steep. As you ascend, the view behind you opens up, revealing the entire Petra basin, soft curves of ruined temples, broken columns, and the winding path of the Sikh, now bathed in honeyed light. The wind picks up as you rise, brushing across your face like a blessing. When you reach the first platform, the urn tomb looms above. A wide colonnade lines the front, its columns evenly spaced and worn smooth by centuries of sun and silence. Above them, a triangular pediment is topped by a large urn, weathered and noble. The tomb feels more like a palace than a resting place. You enter the portico, where shade gathers and the air turns cool. The inside chamber is vast and hollowed from the cliff, with a high ceiling and simple walls that echo even the softest sound. It is a place of quiet grandeur, stripped of ornament but full of gravity. The footsteps of visitors are muted here, and even whispers seem too loud. You run your fingers gently along the sandstone, which is smoother than expected, its layered colors blending like brushstrokes in a desert painting. The space asks nothing of you. It only offers stillness. Next to the urn tomb, the silk tomb beckons with its vibrant facade. Streaks of red, pink, orange, and gold ripple across the surface in natural waves, the result of iron and mineral deposits pressed by time. It is smaller, more weathered, and without the architectural flourishes of its neighbors, yet the colors alone make it unforgettable. In the fading light, the tomb seems to shimmer, as though it were woven from sunlight and stone. You pause before it, feeling the textures with your eyes, the way one might admire a sunset or a distant mountain, without needing to understand, only to witness. To the right, the Corinthian tomb stands tall and ornate, its design echoing that of the Treasury but with softened details and a wilder presence. Time has worn away its sharp lines, leaving a facade that feels more organic, more weathered by wind and rain. The carved niches are empty, the statues long gone, but the feeling remains this was a place meant to last. You step closer and sit at its base, letting the golden light pour across the cliff face. The city below has quieted. The voices of travelers have thinned. Only the wind remains and the steady breath of evening. From a stone bench nearby, you take in the full row of tombs, the palace tomb farthest to the right, with its intricate multi-tiered facade, the silk tomb glowing softly, the solemn urn tomb anchoring them all. They do not compete. They harmonize. Like notes in a chord, each adds something unique, and together they create a melody of reverence, history, and peace. You close your eyes and listen, not for sound, but for feeling. The kind of listening that happens when words fall away. A few birds glide past the cliffs, their wings catching the last light. One lands briefly on a ledge above the tombs, then disappears into shadow. The sky deepens from amber to rose to twilight blue, and the cliffs take on a violet hue. You rise slowly, feeling the warmth of the stone beneath your hands, the coolness of evening settling in. The royal tombs do not say farewell. They simply remain solid, unmoving, eternal, watching, keeping. You walk back down slowly, footsteps steady on the worn path with one last glance over your shoulder. The tombs still glow faintly, like embers in the cliffs. As you return to the lower valley, the world feels hushed. You carry with you the quiet dignity of those facades, the weight of their presence, and the calming assurance that some things endure. Night is falling over Petra, but the story continues deeper still. Night falls gently in Petra, not with a rush of darkness, but with a gradual deepening of color and quiet. The air cools and the sky becomes velvet blue, dotted with the first shy stars. As the last light leaves the cliffs, the city enters a softer rhythm. Those who remain after sunset walk slower, speak less. And then from the mouth of the Sikh a new light appears, not electric, not harsh, but warm and flickering. A single candle glows within a paper lantern. Then another, and another. Soon the path is lined with hundreds of these glowing beacons, set carefully along the route through the Sikya. They cast golden circles onto the dusty ground and send flickers dancing up the sandstone walls. Shadows shift and stretch across the canyon like memories coming to life. The night is silent except for the sound of sandals brushing earth, the soft breath of travelers, and the low murmur of wind finding its way through narrow curves. It is a journey not just of footsteps but of mood, of spirit. The same canyon walked in daylight is now transformed, no longer a corridor of stone but a sacred passage. The candlelight draws the eye to details missed earlier. Swirls in the stone glow like flame-touched silk. Carved water channels shimmer faintly, catching the glint of flickering light. Small hollows in the rock become luminous, holding tiny pools of golden reflection. And above, where the canyon opens briefly to sky, the stars press close, silent and still. Every step forward feels ceremonial, as if the walk itself were part of an ancient rite. There is no need to speak. Those who walk the candlelit Sikh speak only with their pace, with the turn of their heads, with the slowing of their breath. It is a procession without destination, a meditation of movement. The heart quiets in such spaces. The mind settles. Here in this hushed light, you are not thinking about Petra, you are feeling it. The stone, the wind, the flickering warmth of the lanterns, they weave a spell that gently dissolves thought into sensation. As you continue, the path seems to narrow once more. The cliffs lean close and the glow of the lanterns deepens. Then just ahead the passage bends and the treasury appears again. But now it is not bright with sun. It is luminous with hundreds of candles placed in neat rows before it, their glow rising to kiss the base of the columns. The facade looms in shadow above them, serene and infinite. The crowd gathers on the soft sand in front, sitting cross-legged or on folded blankets, facing the ancient monument as if it were a stage or perhaps a dream. A hush settles. Then from somewhere unseen the sound of a flute begins. It is slow, mournful and echoing, the kind of music that doesn't just reach the ears but the spaces behind them, the heart, the breath, the quiet thoughts. After the flute there may be a story told in a soft voice, perhaps in Arabic, perhaps translated. It doesn't matter if you understand every word. The tone alone is enough to carry meaning, reverence, wonder, stillness. You sip warm tea from a small clay cup, sweet with mint and smoke from the fire that brewed it. Around you, others do the same. Everyone is wrapped in the same silence, the same gentle spell. The treasury remains still, eternal, absorbing every flicker, every note, every whispered breath. You look up, and the stars are gathered just above the cliff's edge as though watching, listening. This moment will stay with you, not as an event but as a feeling. Quiet awe, shared stillness, the warmth of candlelight on ancient stone. When the music fades and the crowd begins to rise, you do not feel the need to speak. You simply walk back the way you came, slower this time, letting the shadows guide you. The seek narrows behind you once again, but it no longer feels like a passage, it feels like a cradle, a place that holds you gently between stone and starlight. With the first light of dawn returning to Petra, the city awakens once more, slowly, gently. The wind is cooler in the early morning, and the cliffs are cast in soft mauve and grey, their rose tones still waiting for the sun to climb. Today's path leads to the monastery, or Adair, one of Petra's most majestic and remote treasures. Unlike the Treasury, which reveals itself suddenly from the side queue, the monastery must be earned. It lies high above the city, beyond a winding ascent of nearly 800 stone steps carved into the mountainside. The journey begins in the basin below, near the remains of the Qasr al-Bint temple. A dusty trail leads out toward the cliffs, passing a handful of modest Bedouin stands offering tea, scarves, and handmade trinkets. A donkey resting beneath a tree lifts its head lazily as you pass, then returns to its nap. There's no urgency here. Everyone knows that the climb is not a race. It is a quiet conversation between you and the mountain. The stone steps begin gradually, winding through narrow passes and open terraces. At every turn the view expands, the valley of Petra stretching far behind, jagged peaks rising to meet the sky, and occasional fig and olive trees nestled in rocky crevices. The scent of dust, wild herbs, and sun-warmed stone accompanies each breath. You find your rhythm, step, breath, pause. The silence is deep here, broken only by the rustle of wind or the distant jingle of a camel's harness far below. The climb is long, but the mountain is generous. Along the path are natural resting places, wide ledges where you can sit, sip water, and let the view carry you away. One bend reveals a carved shrine in the rock wall, likely once dedicated to a Nabataean deity. Another opens onto a high plateau, where a small tea tent stands shaded by woven mats and upheld by driftwood poles. A few cushions rest on rugs, and the scent of sage and mint rises from a kettle over coals. You accept a small glass and sit in the shade, watching the sun begin to gild the tops of the cliffs. Eventually, the final stretch of stairs narrows into a canyon, and the air grows still. The light shifts once more, becoming warmer, more direct. Then, just beyond a final bend, the cliffs part, and there it is. The monastery. It rises from the rock in solemn perfection, taller and wider than the treasury, more weathered, more mysterious. Its facade stands over 150 feet tall, its columns broad and carved with quiet authority. The doorway at its center is dark and massive, a portal into shadow. Yet the structure itself radiates peace. You step into the clearing before it, heart slowed, breath quiet. There are fewer people here. The distance has filtered out the crowds. A few sit silently on scattered stones, looking up in reverence. Others climb a nearby ledge to take in the view from above. You do neither. You sit on the ground, let the sun touch your face and look upon the monastery like one looks at the sea, deep, ancient, and unanswerable. The rock here glows with all the colors of Petra, ochre, rose, terracotta, and soft gold. The breeze carries a faint trace of lavender, and high above the cliffs are etched with nesting birds. Time has no hold here. The monastery was not built to be rushed past. It was built for stillness, for staying. It is a place where the soul finds quiet space to stretch. You spend the better part of the morning here, though time loses meaning. A second glass of tea is shared. A soft melody is hummed by a guide nearby, more for himself than anyone else, and eventually you rise, your feet lighter than before. The walk back down is easier, though no less beautiful. The descent offers a new view of the valley, the shadows now shortened, the city below waking in full. But part of you remains behind, resting in the quiet breath of the monastery, where silence holds meaning and stillness becomes sacred. Beyond the great facades and monuments, away from the main routes walked by visitors, Petra reveals another layer, one not carved for ceremony, but for life. Scattered along the sandstone slopes and tucked within the folds of the cliffs are small cave dwellings, some ancient, some still inhabited. These are not the grand tombs or temples that grace postcards, but intimate hollows worn smooth by time and use. Smoke once curled from small fires in their entrances, and woven mats covered their floors. Even now, signs of life linger. Colorful rugs draped over stones, a kettle perched on a ledge, or the faint sound of a child's voice echoing down the valley. The people who have lived here for generations are part of Petra's deeper rhythm. They are the Bedouin, guardians of knowledge passed not through books but through lived memory. Long before Petra was a heritage site, these caves were homes, shelters from the desert sun, cradles of laughter, kitchens filled with the scent of flatbread and tea. Though many families have moved to nearby villages, some still return to these cliffs. They know the pathways by heart, the seasons by scent, the stars by their ancient names. You follow a trail that bends away from the monuments and winds gently toward a quiet slope. Here the land feels softer, less exposed. Small caves dot the hillside like resting eyes. One has a curtain fluttering in the breeze, its fabric faded from the sun. Another has a collection of stones neatly arranged at its entrance, perhaps a seat, perhaps a marker. The path is lined with tufts of hardy desert plants, and the hum of bees drifts through the warm air. It is a place of gentle presence, where history breathes calmly. A young goat grazes nearby, its small hooves sending soft clatters down the rocks. A little farther along, a woman sits beside a cave entrance weaving. Her hands move with steady rhythm, pulling soft desert wool into long strands. She does not look up immediately. She does not need to. She knows this place better than maps or signs ever could. When she glances up, her gaze is quiet and kind. She offers a small smile, then returns to her work. There is no performance here, only life unfolding in its own time. You pause to sit on a low stone wall near one of the caves. The stone is warm beneath you, and the view stretches wide across the valley. It is not the grandeur that moves you, it is the intimacy. The sense that Petra is not just a city of kings and traders, but of families, of conversations over meals, of lullabies sung against the walls of a cave. You can imagine the flicker of firelight across the ceiling, the soft creak of leather sandals, the comforting rhythm of a shared life in stone. The wind moves gently across the rocks, and with it comes the faint scent of thyme and smoke. Somewhere water trickles from a hidden spring, tea source unseen, its sound steady. The cave mouths reflect the light in soft bands of amber and rose, the colors mellowed by countless days of sun and quiet. A bird flits from ledge to ledge, pausing briefly before disappearing into a shadowed crevice. Nothing hurries here. Even time seems to pause. You think about the balance of stillness and change, of permanence and movement. The grand monuments may remain, but it is the lived spaces, the humble inhabited corners that carry the heartbeat of Petra. The people who have made homes here, however briefly or enduringly, are as much a part of the city's story as the kings and architects. Their presence lingers in the stone, in the scent of tea, in the echo of a footstep across packed earth. As the sun dips lower, painting the cliffs with long streaks of gold, you rise and begin the gentle walk back toward the center of Petra. You leave behind the caves, but you carry their quiet welcome with you. The story of Petra continues, not just in stone, but in the lives that have passed through its valleys and in the ones that remain. Morning has returned to Petra. The city, shaped by time and silence, begins to warm once more under the touch of a rising sun. The air is cool still, carrying the scent of stone, sand, and something sweet, perhaps a distant fire, perhaps the lingering memory of a candlelit night. The light begins to pour back into the canyon, tracing the same paths that your footsteps will soon follow. The time has come to leave, though nothing in Petra ever truly lets go. You begin your walk slowly, retracing the path that once brought you in. Each turn now holds a memory. Each echo in the sick is familiar, a whisper from the day before. The cliffs do not seem to close behind you. Instead, they remain open, as if still listening. You pass the carved channels, the smooth walls, the scattered lanterns from last night's glow now dark and silent. The stone seems less imposing now, more like an old friend. You understand its quiet language. Around one bend you pause, not because of fatigue, but because the light is just right. The warm sun reflecting off the walls and catching the faint layers in the sandstone like pages of an ancient book. You run your hand across the rock, feeling once more the texture that has held thousands of stories. The footsteps you leave behind blend with countless others, but the feeling of your time here is uniquely your own. Petra doesn't demand to be understood. It only asks to be felt. In the distance, the valley begins to flatten and the sound of the outside world begins to return. Faint murmurs of new visitors, the creak of saddles, the soft clink of teacups being rinsed. But for you, the rhythm of Petra still hums just beneath the surface, a gentler rhythm, one that will stay with you in quiet moments, long after the cliffs are far behind. You've not just seen a place, you've been a part of its breath. As you reach the final stretch of the CQ, where the cliffs widen and the sky stretches above in full, you stop once more. You turn back, not to capture an image, but to offer a thank you to the stone, to the silence, to the stillness that has held you. There is no ceremony, no grand farewell, just a pause, a deep breath, and a promise to carry the peace with you. Petra will remain. It will wait. It has waited for centuries and will wait still for the next traveler who walks with quiet footsteps, who listens instead of speaks, who lets the stone and light guide the way. And when that day comes, the cliffs will rise again, the paths will unfold, and the city will open like a dream beneath the desert sun. Now the wind brushes your shoulder one final time. You smile, exhale, and step forward, leaving behind a place that never truly leaves you. We hope you enjoyed today's serene journey and found peace in our gentle narration. Do join us next time as we make a relaxing visit to another of the world's most iconic places. Sweet dreams and safe travels until we meet again.